We're live. All right, it's connecting. All right, we're live. Great to see you guys here. If you're watching this live, make sure you drop a comment below, say hey, or if you're watching this on the recording, always as well, drop a comment, let me know that you are here and watching. This is going to be episode 2 of the RN Body Transformation Secrets podcast, and today we are going to be diving in a little bit more on how to lose weight 101, right? The whole idea that we have here is how fundamentally, when it comes to the science of it, to lose weight. And I didn't want to skip past this because, of course, a lot of our focus with RN Body Transformations is to help people sustain it forever. We kind of take for granted that everyone already knows how to lose weight. Results, we've always said, are the easy part. Sustaining it is hard. But I still want to take this time to be able to go into the foundation of how to lose weight, and will build upon it. So if you're watching this on video, I'm going to share my screen. If you're watching this on podcast, on audio, I'll do my best to just articulate well so that we can do it together. Okay? This is going to be a step-by-step process. Let's put us here. Boom. All right. So here's the name of the game: how to lose weight in 3 easy steps. So this is the science behind weight loss. Now, of course, if we were to look at the pyramid of priority, which is not today's lecture, but you'll notice that we're talking today about caloric deficit and macronutrient distribution. But what's below that, which is most important, is adherence. That's the sustainability, right? But for now, just today, we're going to focus here. So when we're thinking about how to lose weight, the first thing we have to find is your BMR, your basal metabolic rate. So super easy ways to do this. The place that I use, or that you can use, is calculator.net, /calorie counter. I just ate like 3 pounds of vegetables, so my stomach is super full. So it would look like this. Let's just use a typical client of ours. Would be 47 years old, gender female, height, let's call it 5'5". Weight, let's just say 180 pounds, and exercise, let's just put them, pretty, let's go normal, right? Sedentary, because super busy, not really doing much, or we can even call it light exercise because they're walking a lot during their job usually. So let's calculate. So this is your BMR, this first number. To maintain your weight, your BMR would be about 2,000, which kind of makes sense because as we're thinking about nutrition guidelines, you've probably heard before, 2,000 is kind of the daily amount we should be getting in, at least to sustain our weight. Now, in order to lose weight, all we have to do is eat below that. It's the physiology of any living organism. As long as you are eating less than your body is burning, you will lose weight. Now, I will put into context that a lot of people will hear that and they'll hear burning and they'll think, okay, so what I need to do is burn more. And I say, no, that's even though that seems intuitive, it's much harder to do that. What is much easier is to eat less. Here's what I mean. Let's say we're looking at a 250 calorie deficit, a mild one here. The difference between let's say you're not going to eat 250 calories. If you're not going to eat 250 calories, that's like 20 seconds, right? For you to eat 250 calories, you could do it in 20 seconds. Like, you do it pretty quick, depending on what you're eating. If you burn it, it's going to take you like 20 minutes. And that's that's probably even modest. That's probably aggressive, 20 minutes to burn 250 calories. That'd be burning 750 calories an hour, which you'd have to be going hard. So we could even extend that and say, maybe it'll take you 30 seconds to eat the 250 calories and it'll take you 30 minutes to burn that 250 calories. So whenever we're thinking about creating deficits, we always want to make sure that we're creating it with food, not trying to burn more with exercise, because that's just not sustainable, right? Now, don't get me wrong, I'm a big proponent of exercise, but that's not here yet. Now, it's pretty interesting. If you have a bigger deficit, guess what's going to happen? You're going to lose more weight. If you have an even bigger deficit, you're going to lose even more weight, right? This is the undeniable physiology of weight loss. So if we go back to here really quick, okay, we found our BMR. The second thing we need to do is create a reasonable caloric deficit. The reason we want it to be reasonable, now we're not even talking about sustainability yet. So we're just for a second going to pretend that human beings had no emotions, and sustainability was easy. So I'm just telling you science. Okay. So the second thing we want to be able to do is create a reasonable caloric deficit. The reason we want to create a reasonable caloric deficit of about 500 calories is so that we can preserve as much muscle as possible, which will keep our metabolism as high as possible through the weight loss process. You've probably known people that have lost a lot of weight quickly. They lose like 20 pounds in a month, and you're like, "Oh my God, what are you doing? Like, give me your secret sauce." But the problem is, they didn't lose 20 pounds of fat. Impossible. What probably happened was they lost 8 pounds of water, 8 pounds of fat, and then 4 pounds of muscle. And then they plateau. And they're like, why am I plateauing? Well, they just burnt their energy source, right? Your lean muscle, for every pound we can add to your frame, this is, not exact, but you're going to burn, let's say, another 50 calories a day. That's extreme. That's like awesome. Imagine if you could just do nothing and burn more calories. That's what we're trying to do. Excuse me, those vegetables. Man, that was 3 pounds of vegetables. Ugh, I shouldn't have eaten all those at once. I usually space it out through the day, but I'm like, nah, I'm gonna power through. So if we're thinking about a reasonable caloric deficit, we're probably going to be losing somewhere in the realm of like a pound a week. But the reason that's really significant is I'm sure you would agree that you would rather lose, let's say you want to lose 30 pounds of fat. I'm sure you would much prefer to lose 30 pounds for 30 weeks in a row. I'm sorry, 1 pound a week for 30 weeks in a row and maintain your metabolism so that it's easier to maintain your results once you get there versus you lose 20 pounds super fast and then you just yo-yo and you get frustrated and then you're right back to where you started, right? But this is not about sustainability right now. This is about just how to lose weight 101. Okay, so let's just take this individual. Let's say we put them at 1,500 calories. Awesome. Now what? Well, now we have to get the right macronutrient distribution, which if we're thinking about the pyramid of priority, would be the next level up. So how do we do it? We start with protein. We multiply the goal weight times 0.75, and that will equal the amount of protein that we get in a day in grams. And then we're just going to fill in the rest of the calories with fat and carbs. Now you might say, like, oh man, like shouldn't it be a little more specific than that? Yes, it can be, but I'm just trying to give you the super easy approach because the enemy of execution is complexity. If we try to do too much too fast, things don't happen. And that's why, like, a lot of the time people are surprised when I meet with them for their first ultimate alignment call or kickoff call. And as we're meeting for this call, they might be thinking like, okay, cool. Like, well, when am I going to exercise? And I will put some people prescribe exercise the first week, but it really depends on the individual. Some people just aren't ready. And I say they're not ready, not because they can't do it, but because it would not be the best sustainable action with everything else going on in their life, right? Because we optimize for sustainability. We optimize for you starting to play this game and never stop again. That's how you win. Think about it. If we could optimize for you getting to your final goal and emotionally never feeling like you needed to go off, you win. That's what we're optimizing for, right? And the way we do that is by getting rid of that vicious cycle altogether and creating one of a positive feedback loop instead of a negative feedback loop, which is what a lot of women go into when they try to lose weight, right? They lose weight, immediate result, cool, great, but then emotion happens, they get thrown off, they feel guilty, vicious cycle. It's the story I see so many times, right? What we want to do is make sure that even if it's slightly slower, we're building a brick house, brick by brick, instead of building a house of cards, right? The majority of fitness programs, unfortunately, out there are just the house of cards. Let's start, going hard right now. It's like there might be a time and a place for that, but in my many years experience, sustainability is the only way to make this happen forever. It truly is the tortoise and the hare to an extent, right? But that doesn't mean that everybody has to start so slow. It just depends on where the individual is. If an individual thinks that they can take on more, fair enough, right? But the key is keeping sustainability high. But again, I always go and talk about sustainability, but that's not what this is supposed to be about. But at least you know where my heart's at, where my head's at, right? So let's do this as an example. Let's say you have somebody that weighs 200 pounds. Multiply that by 0.75. That's about 150 grams of protein daily, which is going to be about 600 calories for the 1500, right? So that's about 900 calories left. And I know that because protein has 4 calories per gram. So does carbs, and fat has 9. So then from here, you just know 900 calories has to come from fat and carbs. So that could be any combination. If you're using something like MyFitnessPal, which if you've never used, I recommend, it can start to give you, I use it with a lot of my clients, and it can give you the experience of learning what macronutrients are actually in the food you're eating, right? Because there's two ways you can go about this journey. You can say, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. Now, I've done that with clients, but we still have to make sure that it's sustainable, right? So like we'll do that, like we'll create more of a, hey, this is what you're gonna eat everyday meal plan, but it still has to be sustainable. Or you can follow more of a flexible dieting approach where we do maybe a part of that, but then a lot of the focus goes towards let me experiment, let me find out. One of my clients, Patty, is doing that right now. I think she's week three roughly of flexible dieting. She's still eating chocolate cake. She's losing weight. Her family's losing weight. It's awesome, right? Her whole family's getting fit from this. It's so cool. But yeah. Anyway, many tangents. So that's all you have to do. That's how you lose weight. That's how you lose weight. Done. Now, because we're human beings, though, adherence comes into the equation. Because we're human beings, we have emotions. Now, granted, let's just say hypothetically we could rid ourselves of emotions, which I wouldn't recommend, right? It would be a very sad life. Because even the negative emotions give you perspective for good and bad, right? If you always had good days, you would just think it would just be normal. It would just be neutral. But because we have the contrast of highs and lows, we can appreciate the highs more, right? This is not a philosophy talk. Anyway, back to it. So the point I'm trying to make is it's got to be sustainable. So when you are thinking about this, and this is really where I guess I could just say shameless plug, right? RN Body Transformations thrives in sustainability because I know from 13 years of working with people that sustainability is the most important piece. That's why you see this pyramid, and a lot of people maybe just look at the pyramid. Go underneath the pyramid. What's the foundation? Sleep is its own category of adherence. Why? Because when you have great night's sleep, you feel like you can take on the world. When you have a terrible night's sleep, you feel like everything is miserable. You have to prioritize sleep, right? And the key is, how do we make that sustainable? How do you deal with the internal conflicts? And this is going way beyond the scope of what I imagined this call would be, but I'm a passionate guy. I'm going to keep talking. So you have to go beyond the scope of, okay, just do it. And you have to address the underlying internal conflicts. Let's think about this. A lot of women want to lose weight, and they know they should sleep more, right? But they also want to feel like they have control over their life by staying up later and pushing off sleep. And that's a real thing. Is if you don't feel like you have control in your day-to-day life through the day, we tend to try to hold on to certainty and control elsewhere. And that, I'm not saying that that's what's happening to you, but that could happen. Have you ever had that happen where you're like, I'm tired, I'm just not going to go to sleep yet because I haven't had my time yet, right? So that's an emotional thing that we have to solve. That's not like, we'll just sleep. And that's what the majority of trainers and coaches do. And that's why we're here, is because we're trying to flip that on its head. We're trying to really just get beyond the coach telling you, like, if you wanted it, you do it more. And it's like, that's so silly. Like, let's address the underlying pieces to this, right? The same thing with emotional eating. That's a big part of it. One of my clients, I won't name her, but, and I hear this a lot. It's not just her. I hear, I don't get it. I want to lose the weight, and I know how important it is, and I know all the benefits that I'm going to experience. I know the pleasure. We've gone through this, but I still want to eat the thing that may not help me get to my goal. Why? You have an internal conflict, right? We want to be able to achieve this thing, But we also do use that thing that we maybe shouldn't be doing to cope emotionally or to fulfill us emotionally. So there's only 3 ways you deal with stress. And maybe I make another podcast following this right away talking about that. Or I can just talk to you now. Why not? So this podcast is going to be super long. So there's only 3 ways we deal with stress, right? It's like we can rip it out at the core. It's funny. I was having a conversation with my parents yesterday about this. You can rip it out at the core. You can change the way we view it. It's like cognitive behavioral therapy. Or we can change the way we cope. That's it, right? And again, if we're thinking about being able to lose, it all comes back, lose weight and sustain it forever. If we're really trying to do that, we have to address the underlying of what actually is motivating us. And it's not what you think usually. It's not usually the rational brain. If we were all extremely rational? Yes. If we were all extremely rational, there would be no need for me. You would not need me because you would just be able to do this and it would be over. If you had the information, it's over. But if you have the information and you're still yo-yo dieting and whatnot, then it's probably something deeper, which, it is 99.9% of the time with people that have not been able to get there and sustain it, right? But there's a reason that 97% of women that lose weight eventually gain it back, and why 92% of the RNs that we work with lose weight and never gain it back. It's because of your mind. It's because we address the stuff that actually is significant, right? Good stuff. Let's refresh this page and see if we have any comments. It's a Monday morning, so probably not here. Let me see what we got. Any comments? No comments. Oh, I forgot to tag everyone in it. Oops. So looks like everyone's going to be watching this on a rewind here. Totally fine. Hopefully this was beneficial to you. Let's go back to this view. Boop. Hopefully this was beneficial to you. I want to make more of these, and very soon these will be on Spotify as well, which will be awesome. So I look forward to making more of these, and let me know if there's anything you want to hear specifically. Wish you the best in your journey. Happy 4th too. Bye.